Good afternoon, everyone. A repeat in history, dumping milk because institutional buyers stopped. World War I, institutional buyers stopped. History repeating. Food shortages on the horizon. Jennifer Zeng showing Chinese media telling citizens in that country to stockpile 6 months worth of food per family. Bipartisan group says all China wet markets close immediately. Well, how far of a stretch will it be before Americans are asked to close all the fresh markets? Food shortages about to crush Canada. From Spain to Germany, food shortages, farmers warning. Endless images of people lining up for food bank assistance. 2020 spring floods damaging, rolling through the exact same areas as last year. And if we are going to grow in the North African deserts to make up for what's lost in Canada and the United States and Europe, we're going to have to control the underground water supplies of Libya. I wonder why it's back in the news again. Well, that's a first. The FDIC posting a video on YouTube urging Americans to keep your money in the banks. And it looks like the banking system could be in for a 10 times larger shock than the housing meltdown in 2008. And it's quirky that if it was such a stable financial system, the FDIC wouldn't need to say a word. With this much inflation on the way, only one investment stands out: gold. Patriot Gold Group has no fee for life IRAs where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver. At Patriot, you work directly with an owner and avoid paying absurd broker fees. Call today or request a free investment kit. PatriotGoldGroup.com. The link's in the description box below. And Christian at Ice Age Farmer and myself are going to be talking about these very same issues Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, live streaming. So join us then. It's going to be an in-depth conversation of how he and I both see the projections and movements of food crop losses, shortages, etc. out into the next couple of years and how you can protect yourself, get your families ready for these changes. We're not going back to the same world again. Your lives and our world is forever changed. Accept it and let's move forward from here. Global food supply chains beginning to erode. Well, the writing's been on the wall for the last 3 to 4 weeks for anybody paying attention that the fertilizers aren't there, the labor's not there, the supply chains are disrupted, and somehow it takes alternative media to point it out that we're coming into the greatest threat to humankind: not enough food. And they're noticing that the supply chains are becoming recently more strained, especially in the last few days. We're starting to see, reports of dumping milk, food rotting in the fields, non-deliveries, especially out of Florida. Now we got Smithfield Foods closing, which was a few days back due to workers and not able to process meat in the throughput there in the factories. That's 5. It's going to roll up to 10 to 15% of American pork. And then off agri-census here, U.S. corn soy meal feed. They're having problems there too. The same exact thing that's happening with Smithfield Foods. Now they're going to cull millions of chickens. So how far does this go before our meat supply is gone in America? And also, Mike Adams at Natural News talked about cascading food shortages about to hit Canada. Same reasons: supply chain woes, labor shortages, and everything in between. It's all revolving around these same 2 or 3 mechanisms. And jumping over to Europe, we see the same exact thing. From Spain to Germany, farmers are warning of food shortages because of labor shortages, input shortages, and supply chain breakdowns. It's from continent to continent. And then over into China. Let's go to Asia. Chinese government telling its citizens stock 6 months of food per family because of the food shortages that are absolutely going to rock that country to its core. And Jennifer Zeng also putting out a really good feed. If you want to get some Chinese news on what's happening over there, take a look on Twitter at what she has. I follow her and post also across my Patreon channel, Adapt 2030. There's so many issues I talk about there and even do videos just for the Patreon channel that I cannot put up here on YouTube due to the algorithm and things I just can't talk about, but I do talk about them, and I post an incredible amount of stuff over on the Patreon channel. That link's in the description box below. Patreon, Adapt 2030. Also, the UN warning about global food shortages triggered by this lockdown event. Everywhere you look, all the agencies, but why is it not on our national news at 6 or 6:30? I just don't get it. You're definitely going to have to take some of your own responsibility for this and start learning how to grow food. Because look at the line here in Pittsburgh. And this is definitely not the only place. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of these photos from different cities across the nation of people lining up to get food assistance. Now, if it's already at this and we're just at the very cusp of the beginning of the change here, what is it going to be like when it gets really bad? Now look at Michigan. This is funny. Russian television needs to cover how Michigan's stopping you from buying seeds, but you can still buy lotto tickets. It's almost like Michigan's trying to string out the seed supply and not get people spooked because you are going to have to grow your own food. If you don't, you're going to be in a severe, backed into a corner situation which you do not want to be in. And then more governmental control. You can see it on the horizon here. Bipartisan group of senators urging China to immediately close all the wet markets. Okay, wet markets are fish, vegetables, meats, the bats, and all that other stuff combined into one. It's not just about exotic animals. That's where people get their daily food from. And it's not going to take that much of a grasp for you to think that they would try to do the same thing with our farmers markets here to control the food supply in America moving forward. The bias of, our government will take care of everything for us. No, they won't. They're mandating farmers dump milk. What happened is all the institutional buyers are now out of the game, so it's more local supermarkets and more local buying out of the co-ops. Storage facilities are full, and they don't trust the farmers to store it on their own farms, so they're making them dump it. This is a criminal image that you're looking at here. Criminal. But then we jump back in history, World War I. After the government stopped buying to feed the troops, we find the same exact thing. The institutional buyers were out of the picture, and they were dumping milk back then too. Everything's linked in the description box below. This is right off the Zero Hedge article. And from Celeste Saloom and Doug Diamond, they sent me this graphic here. These are all the industries and business arenas that are going to be affected by the lockdown and the continued grab of power to control every single aspect of business, life, and society that you see on this chart right here. Straight from the World Economic Forum. I encourage you to check out Celeste's site because she goes in depth on every single angle of all these individual pieces here. U.S. spring flood outlook looks exactly like 2019, but not as severe. But the Upper Mississippi all the way to Canada, exact same food shortage area we experienced last year. Record low planting, record number of no plant acres, and prevent plant insurance claim during these same exact areas. And just an example, flooding on the James River persisting for more than a full year now. So that's why that out there, you can see the difference. March 2019, March 2020 on the right. Massive floods still affecting our U.S. agriculture. And you have to remember, they're still trying to harvest crops in the fields that were stranded in the fields last year due to early blizzards where they couldn't get the machines in there to harvest. Now they're bogged down with rains and mud, and it looks like 5 million acres of what was counted in the USDA as yield is not going to be harvested. So the USDA is going to go back and revamp 2019 figures. They're going to play with the market again, insider trading. All the while, you're not being warned about the massive food shortages looming. James River flooding for more than a year. If you want to look at it this way, charts are easier for some people to see. Line graphs for others. Well, U.S. wheat planted area, how is it declining yet again from last year? Last year was at an incredible low, and it looks like hard red winter wheat is going to take the brunt of the declines. That's the yummy stuff we use for pastas and flours and things that you eat every day. It's declining yet again. So what do you think is going to happen with the food prices? Well, the small business owners think that it's going to be a tumultuous situation at best. Lowest reading ever, largest monthly decline in the small business optimism index. Far right, you're going to see that red line that drops off a cliff. It's below that chart now. They've actually added in another couple bands for the April index because it's fallen even since March. Now, since the beginning of my channel, I have said they are going to absolutely grab Northern Africa to turn it into a new grow zone as areas like Canada, the United States, Europe go offline. They can't grow as much food like we're seeing with the wheat, for example. And it was all predicated on grabbing Libya's underground water supplies that had been developed and put out in working order before they were destroyed by the U.S. coalition. They had massive, massive irrigation canals. That's exactly what they wanted to do there. Grow food in the desert, give it to the people for free. Now, with the changes in above ground rainfall that are occurring now, record harvests across all these countries that you're seeing here, Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt, Morocco also increased. And then you got places full down south like Mauritania, Chad. These places increased yields as well. The above ground rain has returned. Now all they need is a little bit more water to assure growth, and that is right here. Libya is what you want to look at. That is the golden prize. Forget the oil. The water is what they're looking for here. Get the water from Libya. We set up a new grow zone in North Africa. And now you know that food is going to be the most important and most expensive commodity on our planet. The chess piece is all about Libya, the new grow zone. Once you understand what really happened there, not about the oil, not about the gold-backed reserve currency, it was about the water resources to turn it into a new grow zone in North Africa, and why everybody's been positioning and this grand solar minimum crop losses have been hidden from you, the populace. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. We have definitely moved into a different era. The old world we all knew, well, that ended at the beginning of the year. We're going to have to start thinking about a more pioneering lifestyle and using the food you have right now in your pantry or the long-term food storage here at My Patriot Supply to get us through to the next stage where you grow your own food. You store your own food and then you save the seed to grow it next year. These are skills we're going to have to learn. Just think, there should be something, hashtag, think like your grandma. That's the direction we need to go, is more self-sufficiency. Everybody with a victory garden. I wish you the best of luck and I'll see you next video. Join me for the live stream tonight on freedomslips.com, 420 TV, Freedomist Films, as well as the live stream of Friday night coming up with Christian up at Ice Age Farmer and myself. It's going to be an exciting time if you're ready for it, and just clip the past is gone. We've entered a new era, and it's easier to think like that than trying to hold on to the old ways. As we move forward, wish you the best of luck, and I'll see you soon. Bye.